How many times must I tell you? You must never put your life on the line for me.
Mother has always had a fascination for Lord Mortimer, but has never wanted to tell me why.
We are doing our utmost to find your mother as quickly as possible.
Without your mother, hundreds of men of the cloth would have gone to the guillotine.
All I can tell you is I'm looking for my...
How many times must I tell you? You must never put your life on the line for me.
Mother has always had a fascination for Lord Mortimer, but has never wanted to tell me why.
We are doing our utmost to find your mother as quickly as possible.
Without your mother, hundreds of men of the cloth would have gone to the guillotine.
All I can tell you is I'm looking for my sister.
Do you believe your mother capable of torturing a child?
An agreement for cannons. Lord Mortimer assured me that you are to take over the project on behalf of your mother.
Johann Christoph von Wollner, Minister of Religious Affairs, and Jacques Peroux, French Revolutionary Tribunal Judge. You will find that Lord Mortimer is not what one would call conventional, Monsieur de Richet. Monsieur de Richet, I am arresting you for the murder of Elizabeth Adams.
Nic takového jsem neudělal.
Is there nothing you want to say, Louis?
It wasn't me. I didn't kill her.
I'd much rather have met you under different circumstances.
Lord Mortimer, believe me, I'm very conscious of the gravity of the situation. Everything seems to point to me as the one who killed Elizabeth, but I swear I am innocent.
Out of respect for your mother, rest assured that I do want to believe you.
And all I want is to be able to prove it to you. When do we start?
We already have. Tell me, Louis, how do you feel?
Cítím se... že mi bylo lháno. Cítím se ojebanej a zmatenej. A furt mě trochu bolí hlava z toho, jak mě Elizabeth kurva sfetovala. Každopádně, dámy a pánové, já vás vítám pokračování naší série na hru Council. Jsme už konečně v druhé kapitole, druhé epizodě, teda, já nevím. Po 3 epizodách jsme v druhé epizodě a pan Holm nás našel, jak stojíme vedle mrtvého bezvládného těla Elizabeth Adams. Takže jsem hlavní podezřelej, vlastně jsem jediný podezřelej. Jo. Jak se cítím, no? Co to je? Etiketa? No to podle mě na Mortimera moc fungovat nebude. On podle mě není vulnerable k ničemu. Řekl jsem to dobře, že jo? Jo. A imún ke všemu.
My lord, don't take this wrong way, but What do you mean by a question like that? You find me unconscious in front of Miss Adams' body and you ask me how I feel?
I am very serious, Louis. I'm concerned for you.
Cítím
Where
se
are
jak
you going
hovno.
with this, my lord?
Sarah's behavior grew odd before her disappearance. Her attitude changed. She became prey to outbursts of violence and a number of temporary absences. I'm just trying to make sure that you don't go getting lost like your mother did.
You're not suggesting that I might have killed Elizabeth and that I don't remember, are you?
I don't know, Louis. It's just that what with your mother and now you, it's rather a lot. The more I take stock of the situation, the more I'm under the impression that you've been set up.
Já taky, ano,
Before
ano,
going any
souhlasím.
further, I must inform you that Sir Gregory is about to arrive. He is coming to question you about the murder of poor Elizabeth, whom he was very fond of. He is quite determined to find the culprit, whomever they may be. So, convince him of your innocence. Then we can continue this conversation.
Jak to mám udělat? Já nemám nic, co by dokázalo mojí nevinu.
I would like to see you a moment before we begin. In private.
Let's step outside a moment. Louis, this will only take a few moments.
V pohodě. Já nikam nespěchám. Možná tak na oprátku. Oni mě tady nechají, jako i kompletně samotnýho, ano. Search the study.
All right, let's take this chance to look around.
Samozřejmě, že se kouknu na dopisy. Svědectví Bonaparteho a Hillsborough. Napoleon, když jsem se ho zeptal, co jste dělal včera večer, řekl mi, potom co jsem si promluvil s Lordem Mortimerem, hrál jsem celý večer karty s panem Gregorym, panem Washingtonem a jeho vysokostí Piagem. Sir Gregory vyhrál. Když jsem se zeptal, všimnul jste si něčeho zvláštního skrze ten večer, Bonaparte řekl, slunce nahoru. Ty vole, usvitne to druhý. Víš, co myslím? To je důležitý. Zdálo se mi, že jsem viděl někoho na balkóně, ale neviděl jsem, kdo to byl. Statement Hillsborough, když jsem se jí zeptal, co dělala včera večer, řekla mi, strávila jsem večer s panem de Richet. Obdivovali jsme díla v galerii. Když jsme šli spát, potkali jsme slečnou Adamsovou. Byla jsem unavená, nechala jsem pana de Richet a slečnou Adamsovou a šla jsem do postele. Když jsem se zeptal, všimla jste si něčeho divného skrze ten večer, vévodkyně odpověděla ne, že bych si to pamatovala.
Please, sit back down, Louis.
Tohle určitě bude mínus.
This sort of behavior is not working in your favor, young man. Monsieur de Richet, you were found standing over Miss Adams' body. We must shed some light on your responsibility in this tragedy.
Já to nebyl,
We
zabila
shall
se
then
sama.
decide on your fate. But you must know that if you do not convince us of your innocence, it will cost you dearly.
A proč je tady tenhle
Now
ten?
you are going to tell us everything that happened last night without leaving any detail out. First things first, how did your evening begin?
Duchess Hillsborough and I were returning to our rooms when Elizabeth came upon us.
Oh, So you were with the Duchess?
Yes, we were talking. We were walking up the stairs, and it was late.
Where did you come from?
Galerie.
I don't remember.
Galerie.
We came from the portrait gallery, if I remember rightly.
That is what the Duchess said. Continue.
We were heading for our rooms when Elizabeth burst into the corridor, barely dressed.
Jo.
She was panic-stricken and insisted on speaking to me. So I found myself in Elizabeth's room. We sat down together. She insisted we have a drink, or she would refuse to confide in me.
What exactly did she want to speak about at such a late hour?
O mý mámě. About her childhood with my mother. Says she feared Mortimer. She wanted to get me drunk. She claimed she saw my mother in the
She
evening
was
before.
panicked. She claimed she had just seen my mother on the island.
Did she say where she saw her?
I seem to remember something about cliffs.
Let us continue. And what happened next?
Then she told
Božrala
me
mě,
she poured
sfetovala
laudanum in my
mě, ano.
glass. The next minute I was on the floor. When I woke up, she was lying in a pool of blood.
That is all you have to say?
To
You
se
expect
stalo.
us to believe that you have no idea what happened to her?
Yes, because I'm
Zdrogovala
telling
mě.
you the truth.
How can you possibly expect us to believe you?
Gregory, we must consider every possibility.
Já si i tu, že říkám pravdu.
Louis, do you have any idea who could have done it?
Sama. It could have even been me. My mother. Jako...
Well, even if I can't believe for a single instant that my mother could have murdered someone in that manner, she might have wanted to stop Elizabeth from speaking about their mutual past. And things might have turned nasty.
It is indeed a possibility.
Ja, díky bohu.
I would like to thank you for helping us shed light on what happened last night. To be honest, you are not the only suspect. I'm prepared to believe you were drugged. Our poor Elizabeth hid the stuff everywhere, and I could smell laudanum on you 3 yards away.
So you knew it wasn't me from the start?
We weren't sure. Louis, I am sorry, but everything points in the same direction.
Já
I only
vím.
know one person on this island who might have had a big enough grudge against Elizabeth, who has no alibi, and whose behavior is, well, suspect. Not to mention
Jacques?
dangerous.
Tell me what happened before my arrival. I think I've been patient enough.
You don't need us for any of this. So come along, Monsieur Peru. We are leaving.
Proč tady byl? Halo?
Right. It's time we spoke about your mother, Louis.
She does this often. She isn't hiding, she isn't missing.
When I first came here, I wasn't that worried. In the past, my mother has taken a few liberties during her missions, including disappearing for several days on end.
That doesn't make me feel any better, Louis.
Proč?
What was the official reason why my mother came to your island?
I knew about your mother's activities and yours in the Golden Order. I thought we had everything to gain by working together.
You mean the canon deal with Monsieur Bonaparte?
Among others, yes. How did you hear about that?
Monsieur Bonaparte came to speak to me about it yesterday, during lunch.
I see. So impetuous.
Jak
You
říkáš?
were supposed to let me speak to you about it first. Our friend Napoleon desperately needed financial backing to properly equip his army. I took it upon myself to back him because I have a firm conviction that he can go far.
We shall see. However, there's one thing that surprises me.
Did my mother still... why help a lieutenant?
Isn't Bonaparte a bit young to deserve so much attention?
Well, you come straight to the point. I like that. Indeed, if you knew just how much you remind me of him. Trust me, I'll wager that Monsieur Napoleon will soon prove himself. I'm working on it, at least.
Jsme si podobní možná v tom, jenom že jsme oba Francouzi.
Such as what?
You see, I've invited several influential figures on my island to present them with a project at the conference. It will be presented later today. I thought that the Golden Order had a role to play, and I still think so. I was hoping Sarah would be able to join us.
I see.
Indeed, if by chance your mother decided not to return to us before the conference, would you do me the great honor of attending? If only to follow the deliberations while waiting for her to duly take her seat.
Why not? We shall see.
Ah, thank you so much. In this way,
Špatný nápad, špatný
you're
nápad.
informed of what he said. There's something else I'd like to briefly go over. Earlier, you asked me the official reason for your mother's presence here. Is there an off-the-record reason why your mother came here?
If only my mother trusted me, but she remained very mysterious. I'd have been delighted to answer your question.
Is this usual for her?
Ano.
As head of the Order, secrets are her bread and butter, as you can imagine. That said, it's the first time she hasn't let me in on the reason for her trip. And it intrigues me, to tell you the truth.
Well, I'm sure that Sarah will explain everything once she reappears. There's something I still don't get. In your opinion, why would your mother remain in hiding over several weeks?
Možná něco objevila, možná se zbláznila, jo to, ano. Možná se někoho bojí, nebo jako bojí, není to ten správný překlad, jo, ale možná si na někoho dává pozor.
Her not coming back to the manor after so long makes me wonder if she is wary of someone.
Well, certainly. But whom? The only ones
Tebe.
who were present during her stay were Sir Gregory, Duchess Hillsborough, Mr. von Wollner, and myself.
Jak tady mohla být vévodkyně, když připlula se mnou? My teda teď jako víme, že Emily má dvojče, a která tady byla před ní, to víme, ano. Ale pak se ztratila ve stejnou dobu jako moje máma, nebo přibližnou dobu jako moje máma. Sir Gregory, Duchess Hillsborough, von Wollmer, myself. Adams was here as well.
Elizabeth Adams, my lord.
That's true. But Gregory and I arranged it so that they wouldn't run into each other. I thought it had worked. Do you think that your mother felt she was in danger because of Elizabeth?
Ne,
It's possible.
ne, není.
The only thing I can tell you is that Sarah had indeed changed. At the beginning of her stay here, we enjoyed spending time together, solving the world's problems.
Enough about her disappearance.
Tell me about her disappearance.
Since she disappeared, your mother has been seen once. Her behavior on the evening of your arrival greatly surprised Gregory and myself. She resurfaced to attack Emma, Emily Hillsborough's twin sister. And she shot her with a pistol. Then, before Gregory could intervene, she ran off and disappeared again.
I beg your pardon? Hang on. That means my vision on the wharf, it was actually happening inside the manor. Mother shot Emily's sister? The very person she came looking for? Why would she do that? Excuse me, but between that and the childhood of Lady Adams, it's all a bit much for me to cope with. I need to piece it all together again to see things more clearly. You said that you spent a lot of time talking together at the beginning. What happened for that to change?
I'm afraid I haven't much to tell you. The more the days went by, the more she withdrew into herself. She never gave me an explanation, until the day came when she purely and simply disappeared.
Where did she go when she wanted to be alone?
She would shut herself away in a room we use as a box room upstairs.
Would you allow me to go there?
Naturally, Louis, of course. I'll send you a servant to open it.
Thank you.
That's all I can tell you about the
Kopule
disappearance of
hněvu.
your mother, Louis. I would like to have been more helpful.
I shall stay on her trail and follow up any leads.
Thank you. We will meet later on to welcome our last guest. In the meantime, I shall get someone to open the box room upstairs for you.
Thank you. The room was just opposite Mortimer's study.
OK, takže já mám spoustu informací jsme se teď dozvěděli. Začal bych teda tím, že ty Louisho vize, který má, tak že asi představují něco, co se děje. Buď v současné době, nebo v blízké proximitě k tomu, těsně předtím, nebo těsně potom. Jakože budoucnost, minulost, chápem se, řekl jsem teď víceméně to samý, já už taky melu houna. Víme teda, že Mortimer a Holm oba vědí o tom, že Emily má sestru dvojče. Sice ona mi řekla, jako, že to nikdo neví. Jo, že je to tajemství, že jsou vlastně jenom jedna. Ale ví to nějak moc lidí. Vím to. Já, Holm, Mortimer, moje máma, určitě spoustu dalších lidí z řádu. Washington to musí vědět, když je taky na nějaký ty vyšší pozici. Víme taky to, nebo Mortimer nám řekl, že moje máma se začala chovat divně předtím, než zmizela. Nějak jako agresivnějc. A v ten den, kdy jsem sem připlul, tak zastřelila Emilyinu sestru. To jsme viděli v té vizi a pak zase zmizela. Protože chtěla po Emě, aby něco schovala. Možná, jestli tu knihu, jestli to má být jako nějaký velký vědění, co já vím, ale jestli jsem přišla hledat kupce pro tu knihu, proč by ji schovávala, aby ji nikdo nenašel? Že ne, takže to musí být něco jiného. No, mají teda údajně ještě jinýho podezřelého pro vraždu Elizabeth, což je dobře. Můžu jít zpátky? Nemůžu, škoda, já jsem to tam chtěl ještě prozkoumat. Mám se tady nějak jako projít nebo jít rovnou a půjdu asi rovnou, jestli je to otevřený. Je to otevřený. Ulala. Look for clues.
There are burnt papers in the chimney. There's a legible fragment left. Hey, I recognize my mother's handwriting.
Okay.
She says we must find a safer way to communicate. Someone is onto us. Trust in my faith in the man with the sword. So mother had an accomplice here. Who could it be?
Nemá.
Who could she be suspicious of? I must find the next part. Faith, sword. I recognize her love of riddles there. They're burnt papers.
Dobrý, nepotřebuju to znova. Ne, já jenom, jestli tam nebylo něco dalšího.
Dante's paradise. Raise your head and be reassured, for what comes up here from the mortal world must ripen in our rays.
Tak jo.
What is this disc?
Disk? Vem si ho. Tady jsou dveře na balkon, ale to vůbec není balkon.
St. Paul on the road to Damascus by Caravaggio.
Ještě, že jsem vzdělaný. Ale nejdřív si to prohlídnu.
Caravaggio attained a magnificent command of black and the play of colors too. Paul facing an ordeal, the curtains of his illusions being raised, and receives the light from his Savior. A fierce opponent of the first Christians, St. Paul is suddenly struck by the call of Jesus Christ and converts. It's the best known conversion in Christian history, which teaches us that even enemies of Christ can be saved, and even become his greatest apostles after finding faith. From what I can recall, the account of his conversion could be found in the epistles to the Galatians, the Philippians, the Corinthians, and the Acts of the Apostles.
Dobře. Co se mi tím snaží říct? Ne.
Hey, a Russian ruble. I wonder what it'd be worth today.
Nic.
The door appears to be locked on the other side. I think I heard something fall to the ground. A metallic sound, like a key falling to the floor.
Super.
We'll see if it works.
Neuvěřitelný.
It's open.
Ježišmarja, jsem se lek.
Great. St. Paul painted by Guido Reni. St. Paul is shown holding a sword. Strange. There's hardly any dust, as if the painting's been cleaned recently. There's a small inscription engraved on the frame. Let's take a closer look. This is how Paul spoke to his pilgrims from Rome. Just above that, someone's written down the figure 11 on the painting and underlined it twice. No, what does that mean?
Tady se nic dalšího nedozvím. Dobře, tohle je akorát velice susy portrét.
A chest with the occult symbol representing air.
To já asi nemám, co? Co to je? To jsou nějaký párečky? To jsou svíčky. No, dobře.
A drawing of the Apostle Matthew, painted by Guido Reni. He's represented as writing the word of the Lord, transmitted by the Holy Spirit, who appears here in the guise of an angel.
To mě nezajímá tenhle obraz. Tam není žádný meč. Oh.
The New Testament.
This Bible is from Gutenberg. Co to je?
Volume of the Gutenberg Bible. This volume dates from the first edition of Gutenberg. It's the first book that was ever printed. Pages are covered in annotations in Latin, French, and Hebrew. Someone spent years studying this Bible.
Super, tak to mi jako vůbec nepomohlo teda.
It's St. John, painted by Guido Reni. St. John is known as the youngest of Christ's apostles, while we often give credit to St. John for having written about the apocalypse in the last book of the Bible.
Kniha.
Several portraits of apostles, all signed by Guido Reni. It looks like someone touched this commode recently. There are fingerprints on the sheets and in the dust.
Vypadá jako, že tahle místnost je nějaký testament pro pana Guido Cheny.
Several portraits of
Dobrý, tak nic, tak si trhni, vole.
Painting of Saint Mark from the collection of the Apostles by Guido Reni.
Jo, super.
Amber crystals.
Nevím, kde jsi to našel, ale dobrý pro tebe. Něco na posteli. Hele, takže tenhle obraz je pro mě důležitý.
Saint Paul painted by Guido Reni. Of the 4 apostles shown in this piece, Paul is the only one who isn't an evangelist. He is the 13th apostle.
To je určitě důležitý. Dobře, takže tohle je svatý Paul teda.
Saint Paul is shown holding a sword.
Ano, to je dobře.
Strange. There's hardly any dust, as if the painting's been cleaned recently. There's a small inscription engraved on the frame. Let's take a closer look. This is how Paul spoke to his pilgrims from Rome. Just above that, someone's written down the figure 11 on the painting and underlined it twice. No, what does that mean? I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid, but rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles, for to provoke them to jealousy. Oh, wait, a note from Mother is carefully folded between the pages here. What does it say? Dear E, I'm glad you found this note. I was afraid the code of the 2 groups of pilgrims would mislead you. Pick up the package. You know where, and hide it where no one will find it. It's imperative. Awaiting your reply, hidden behind the youngest apostle. What? The youngest apostle? What does Mother mean by that?
No, to je tenhle, ne? Scrutinize the frame, he doesn't have a beard.
St. John is the only apostle painted in this gallery who hasn't got a beard. Hey, wait! That means it's him. He's the youngest apostle. Right.
Přesně tak.
This painting is therefore associated with the answer which E had to give to my mother. Now, I just need to know how to recover the answer.
Koukni se za ten obraz.
It's St. John, painted by Guido Reni.
Samozřejmě kým jiným. Jo, aha, to je všechno.
The painting looks like it's been taken down recently. But wasn't my mother said that she would wait for an answer hidden behind the apostle? Ah, of course. There's something written behind the painting. On the 2nd day, the pilgrims will listen to the prophecy of the young apostle. They shall add 1 companion to their left and 3 to their right to complete their rank. What does it mean?
1 doleva, 3 doprava. Remember the aforementioned book.
Several portraits of apostle. Looks like.
Ne. Jakože mám ještě něco na... Follow the clues, sleduje. Jakože mám ještě něco najít v té knize. Waiting your reply hidden by the... No, dobrý. Si to musím přečíst znova.
On the 2nd day, the pilgrims will listen to the prophecy of the young apostle. They shall add 1 companion to their left and 3 to their right to complete their rank. What does it mean?
A kdože to je?
St. John,
Saint John. OK, tak počkej. A to je taky evangelista teda, že jo?
And the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time, and times, and half a time, from the face of the serpent. Hey, a new note. It's been folded carefully in the corner of this page. The writing, it's not my mother's. S. I found the book in your effects. I've concealed it where no one can get their hands on it. I can assure you, awaiting your instructions, I will hear your reply like he who hears the angel. Hears the angel? What does that mean? Oh, it's probably the place where she was expecting to get the location of the next note.
Já bych strašně rád vysvětlil, jak jsem se k tomu dostal. Vlastně protože tady nic nebylo, takže musíš Revelations of John, nebo Revelation. A ono říkalo to, že přidají 1 doleva a 3 doprava, že jo, takže tadyhle to jenom sečteš, předtím jsi to měl chapter 11, verse 11, plus 1 plus 3 a dostaneš se k tomuhle. Stop reading. Jak to bylo, poslouchá anděli?
Painting of Saint Mark from the collection of the apostles by Guido Reni. There's nothing worth noticing here. Little characters are engraved on the chest of drawers under the urn. It's a sentence in Hebrew.
Ha! To já naštěstí umím.
It says, count in the dust. All right, let's do it.
Děláš si za mě prdel.
No, nothing of value here. There are finger marks, deliberately drawn in the dust. 8 in all. That's what the message in Hebrew spoke about. Hebrew 8.
Že si to nemám psát? Já si to napíšu. 8.
It's too cumbersome for me to unhook here, but judging by the dust, it hasn't been moved for months, if not years.
Dobře, takže tam žádný secret nebude. Tadyhle byl nějaký prach?
Several portraits of apostles. Looks like someone touched this commode recently. There are fingerprints on the sheets and in the dust.
On tam neřekl nic o čísle, ne?
St. Paul painted by Guido Reni. St. Paul is shown holding a sword. Strange. There's hardly any dust, as if the painting's been cleaned recently. There's a small inscription engraved on the frame. Let's take a closer look. This is how Paul spoke to his pilgrims from Rome. Just above that, someone's written down the figure 11 on the painting and underlined it twice. No, what does that mean?
Ne, tak to mi taky nepomůže. Takže jediný, co jsem našel, je tady 8. A kdo slyší anděly? Já vím, že to o někom říkal.
It says half of each group will join the first city of Corinth. What the hell does that mean? It must be the group of pilgrims mentioned from before. I guess maybe the city of Corinth is a reference to the epistle from Corinthians in the Bible.
No na to bych přišel taky, ale jsi mi vůbec nepomohl.
There's something else behind it. Says half of each group will join the first city of what?
Half of each group. To znamená... kde je tady něco pro korínské? Jo, tady ne, dobře. Tady jsou nějaký korínský. Ne, tady jsou verses jenom, takže tady half. To může být cokoliv, vole, ale.
For you are bought with a price. Therefore, glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's. For the Jews require a sign, and the Greeks seek after wisdom.
Počkej, ne, já jsem našel 8. Polovina z 8 jsou 4.
Because we look not at the things that are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal.
Kurva. Já jsem si byl už tak jistý.
For the Jews require a sign, and the Greeks seek after wisdom. If we have hope in Christ in this life only, we are, of all men, most miserable. Now, therefore, there is utterly a fault among you, because ye go to law with one another. Why do ye not rather suffer injustice? Why do ye not rather suffer yourselves to be defrauded? Ah, look, here's a message.
Nevím, jak se k tomu měl dostat. Absolutně vůbec.
Watch out for the Prussian. He's on the trail. Let's meet up. I'll leave it to you to organize the rendezvous. Not today. I'm unable to do it. In the meantime, I'll follow the first group to Mark, who will reveal the answer to them. And that first group of pilgrims, how many are there now? If I refer to the chapter I'm reading at the moment, 6.
Kámo, já už to nedávám. Já už nevím, co se tady děje reálně. It is paramount importance that no one finds it. Watch out for the Prussian. He's on the trail. Jasně, to je ten taťka, který jsme viděli na tom obědě, snídaní, večeři, co já vlastně vím. Ten, s kterým jsme vlastně ještě vůbec nemluvili ani trošku. Let's meet up, I'll leave it to you to organize the rendezvous, not today, and I'm unable to do it. In the meantime, I'll follow the first group to Mark, who will reveal the answer to them. Je tady někde Mark? Kdo je Mark? Jseš Mark? To je Matthew, ne? Ty nejseš Mark. Jseš John, že jo? Mark. Takže tady musím něco najít. A počkej, co tady mám najít? First group. Who will Já se poseru.
St. Paul on the road to Damascus.
Jo, to je Paul nějaký, tak.
St. Paul is the only saint to be presented twice in these paintings. contrary to the other apostles. How come? This painting has been hanging here for a long time. A lot of dust is built up on it. Well, a finger has drawn a number in the thin layer of dust. I can read the number 4.
Zajímavé.
Dante's Paradise. Raise your head and be reassured.
They're burnt paper. Who am...
Takže Mark 8.4? Nebo 4.8? Je to možný? Ne. Kurva, to jsem nechtěl. Jo, Mark tady. A tady není 8.4 vůbec. Ani 4.8. A kdože je tady dvakrát Paul a ten tady taky není. Paul je tady. Tady 3.8 až 4.18. Jo, to jsem, ne, dobrý. Ne, zpátky.
And it came to pass in those days that Jesus came from Nazareth of Galilee and was baptized by John in Jordan. And behold, there cometh one of the rulers of the synagogue, Jairus by name. And when he saw him, he fell at his feet. And as they did eat, Jesus took bread and blessed it and broke it and gave it to them and said, Take, eat. This is my body. Then came together unto him the Pharisees, and certain of the scribes, which came from Jerusalem.
Super. Follow the first group to...
Several portraits of a pop looks like some...
Tak já už nevím, co tady po mně chtějí.
No, nothing of value. It's too cumbersome for me to... Little characters are engraved on the chest of drawers under the urn. It's a sentence in Hebrew. It says, count in the dust. All right, let's do it.
No ale tady v prachu jsem našel 8, tady 11, to je jako dobrý, to už jsem ale našel, tu odpověď, co jsem hledal. A tam jsem našel Paula se 4. Ty pičo, já mám dost.
Because we look not at the things... Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things.
A já už měl takovou radost. Počkej, Hebrew.
hast put all things under his feet. For in that he put all in subjection under him. He left nothing that is not put under him.
Tak nic.
Follow peace with all men and holiness, without which no man shall see the Lord. But that which beareth thorns and briars is rejected, and is nigh unto cursing, whose end is to be burned. Here's a message. There are some complications. Indeed, the Prussian is insistent. What's happening at your end? Do you need help? If tonight is not possible, let's see tomorrow evening, in the South Room, where we reviewed the situation. When Paul understood that only the axe counted, he went back on his tracks. I await your confirmation to his left, in the company of the pilgrims that have joined him. Yeah, this last comment is about their code. I should find new pilgrims near Paul.
Prosím, já už nemůžu. Já už mám dost. Tady je Paul.
On the road to Damascus by Caravaggio.
Je tam víc lidí. Já nevím, co po mně chceš už.
This painting has been hanging here for a long time. A lot of dust is built up on it. Well, a finger has drawn a number in the thin layer of dust. I can read the number 4. Caravaggio attained a magnificent command of black and the play of colors
No,
too.
dobrý.
Paul facing an ordeal, the curtains of his illusions being raised. St. Paul is the only saint to be presented twice in these paintings. How come?
When Paul understood that only the X counted, he went back on his track. I await your confirmation. To his left. Tohle je taky Paul, že jo?
Paul painted by Guido Reni. Strange. St. Paul is shown twice, unlike the other disciples. Several portraits of looks like Finally, what sort of thing? This I say therefore, and testify in the Lord, that ye henceforth walk not as other Gentiles walk, in the vanity of their mind. In him God has chosen us before the foundation of the world. Not in the lustful desire, even as the Gentiles who knew not God.
Prosím. Já už nemůžu, já už nevím, co po mně chceš.
Because we look not at the things that are for the And suddenly there came a sound from heaven like a rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting. And there were 7 sons of one ski. And he became very hungry. Hey, there's a note here. A message from Mother in reply to E. We must leave urgently, but first I absolutely must go beyond the nightmare. Watch out for Volner. He figured out I was avoiding him. Allay suspicion. See you tomorrow evening. Stand ready. For now, let's cease all communication until we meet. Take care of yourself. I suppose this must be the last message. What happened afterward? If it's what I suspect, I fear the worst. What did Mother mean by, I absolutely must go beyond the nightmare? I must go beyond the nightmare. What does she mean by that?
Prosím, žádný další hádanky. Nebo jako takhle, hele. Hádanky, OK. Už žádnou další Bibli, žádný další apoštoly, evangelisty, vole, nic takového, žádnej Paul, Mark, John. Prosím.
I'm guessing it's a metaphor. I need to figure out what this means. Mortimer's getting his guests together. I ought to join them so I don't look suspicious.
Ty pičo. A mám dost. Díky bohu. Ty. I did not understand my mother's message. Hele, na můj obranu, kdo tomu měl rozumět? Ty mi chceš říct, že ta noční můra je něco doslovného, jo? Jak to může být? Já jsem to objevil, ale vůbec jsem tomu neporozuměl. New charakter smet, já jsem zase někoho potkal? Jo, Mortimera vlastně. 4 bodíky. Tak, co si vylepším? Evidentně expim diversion. Tři manuskripta. Není to jako, že bych jich našel nějak víc, jo, jako. Apprentice. Vzdělaný. To uděláme někdy příště, jo. Tohle mě absolutně maximálně psychicky vyčerpalo. Skurvená Bible, vole. Kdo se v tom má vyznat, co to všechno znamená, vole? Nějaký Paul? Jsem akorát nasranej. O to víc, že jsem obviněný z vraždy. Kterou jsem neudělal, nejspíš. Pravděpodobně. Okay? Byl jsem zdrogovaný. No, každopádně. Meet with other guests, to uděláme klasicky. Někdy příště. Do té doby zatím čus.